played my part, I played my position, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's a lot come with this street, bro. Like, when I say harassing, bro, like Chicago, that's my city. I love my city. Like, man, you dumb as hell. You steady coming back, bro. Like, I got 7 kids, bro. You know what I'm saying? I got 7, bro. My oldest 16. So, like, when I be coming to the city, I don't just be coming to the city just do dumb, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm 33, gang. Like, I don't got to sit here and just talk to him and tell him what I'm on. And then, oh, yeah, he just did some dumb. Just told him don't go and he just went anyway. No, blood, I be going to see my kids. I be going up there to stand on business. That's my city, gang. Like, they don't be understanding that. So, like, it's like how I gotta move. They be harassing me so much and be on my bro. Like, be scary. You know what I'm saying? It's so scary. So, like, I be having to watch this. That all played a part with me doing interviews and telling people my lifestyle ain't to be televised, bro. Cause, like, I'm seeing, like, I'm going through these legal situations, you know what I'm saying?
On a quiet Saturday afternoon in Chicago's Little Village neighborhood, October 25th, 2025, surveillance cameras captured something chilling. 2 gunmen sprinting toward a man buying auto parts, opening fire from just feet away in broad daylight. Within seconds, 35-year-old Devonshaw Collier, known to the world as THF Bayzoo, lay dying while his puppy bled out beside him on the pavement. The shots that ended his life weren't random. They were the culmination of 15 years of bloodshed, revenge, and a cycle so vicious that even Bazeu himself couldn't escape it, despite knowing exactly where it would lead. If you're already feeling that pull to understand how deep this rabbit hole goes, do me a favor right now. Hit that like button, subscribe to Crime Lab Report, and smash that bell icon. These stories don't get told without you backing them, and every case we cover deserves eyes on it because silence lets violence win. Don't let this one fade into the background. Chicago's South Side has been bleeding for generations, but the drill rap scene that exploded in the early 2010s put a spotlight on violence that had always been there. Devonshaw Collier was born into this world in 1990, growing up in a city where your block determined your fate more than your dreams ever could. By the time he took the name THF Bayzoo, representing Trigger Happy Family from the 46 block, he was already navigating a war that had claimed friends, family, and any illusion of a normal life. The man who would become known as a Chicago Spinner stood about 5'10", built a modest career in drill music with an estimated net worth of $500,000, and somehow managed to keep his wife Tiffany and their children relatively private despite living extremely public beef. But here's what made Bazeu different from countless other casualties in Chicago's gang wars. He understood the game's end result. In 2009, when he was just 19, prosecutors accused him of killing 21-year-old Dominic Barnes during 4th of July weekend. The allegations were brutal. They claimed Bazeu walked up to Barnes in the 4700 block of South Forestville Avenue, asked about his gang ties, then shot him multiple times before robbing his body. 5 years later, in 2014, police arrested Collier at the Orland Park home of his close friend and collaborator, Lil Durk. The murder charge hung over his head for years until December 2017, when a Cook County jury found him not guilty. That acquittal became legendary in Chicago streets. In 2018, Bazeu and the late King Von dropped a music video for Beat That Body, where they openly bragged about beating their murder cases. It wasn't just music. It was a middle finger to a system they felt targeted them, and a badge of honor in a culture where surviving charges meant you were untouchable. What would you do if you beat a murder case? Walk away? Start fresh? Bazeu couldn't, and maybe that's what makes this story so devastating. The thing about Chicago's drill scene is that it's not just entertainment. When these rappers talk about bodies, ops, and sliding, they're documenting actual warfare happening in real time. Bazeu's affiliation with THF 46 put him directly in the crosshairs of multiple rival sets, but none more deadly than 051 Young Money and 757. This beef didn't start with Bazeu, but it became deeply personal for him in the most tragic way possible. Picture this. You're trying to build a music career, provide for your family, and one day your 14-year-old stepson gets killed. That's exactly what happened to Bazeu when his wife Tiffany's son, Raheem Dameron, was fatally shot. The killer? A member of 051 Young Money named Melly, who would become both Bazeu's mortal enemy and somehow, bizarrely, someone he could respect. Now I need you to really sit with this next part, because it reveals everything about who Bazeu was. After Melly killed his stepson, Bazeu hunted him down and shot both Melly and another rival named MUBU Krump. Krump died from his wounds. Melly survived. So here's two men who have every reason to kill each other on sight. They've taken family from each other. They've literally shot each other. By every street code, this is blood that demands more blood. Yet in 2020, something remarkable happened that still has people talking today. Bazeu and Melly got on Instagram, lived together, and had a civil conversation. Let me repeat that because it sounds impossible. These two assassins, as they were known in Chicago, sat on a live stream and talked with mutual respect. During that conversation, Melly even said something that perfectly captured the insanity of the situation. "If killing wasn't a crime, I would spit on you when I'm finished." He was literally saying he wanted Bazeu dead. But in that moment, they were discussing their beef like two generals acknowledging each other's tactics. They debated body counts, talked about who did what, and for a brief window, the internet watched two enemies treat each other like worthy opponents instead of targets. Can you imagine having that kind of conversation with someone who killed your child? Most of us would lose our minds. But Bazeu seemed to understand something dark about his reality. He and Melly were both trapped in the same machine, and hating each other personally wouldn't change the fact that the streets demanded they keep trying to kill each other. This is where Bazeu's story gets really complex, and I want you to think about this as we go forward. By his mid-30s, he was talking about unity. He praised other Chicago figures who started advocating for peace. He emphasized guiding younger generations toward better choices. His music explored loyalty, survival, and street life, but he seemed aware of how destructive it all was. Yet he couldn't walk away. Multiple felony gun cases followed him. In 2022, he caught weapons charges again. He moved with armed bodyguards everywhere he went. Why? Because talking about peace doesn't erase 15 years of bodies and beef. His connection to Lil Durk and the Only the Family Collective made him even more visible. You might know Durk as one of Chicago's biggest success stories, a rapper who went from the trenches to mainstream fame. Bazeu appeared on tracks like Sip Again from the OTF compilation album Loyal Brothers, collaborated with artists like the late King Von and Duty Low. These weren't just colleagues. They were brothers in every sense that mattered on the streets. When King Von was shot and killed outside an Atlanta lounge in 2020, it devastated the entire OTF circle. Federal prosecutors would later claim that Von's death triggered Lil Durk to allegedly fund a murder-for-hire plot in revenge, charges that landed Durk in a California federal jail awaiting trial in January 2026. Here's what makes the timing of Bazeu's death so eerie. Just days before he was killed, Bazeu took to social media defending Durk against those murder-for-hire charges. He called the allegations outrageous and questioned the entire narrative. Why would he have to pay his day one to hunt for the loss of another day one? Bazeu wrote, "Make it make sense." He was essentially saying that Durk's crew didn't need to be paid to seek revenge, because that's what loyal friends do naturally. Think about what that tells you about the mindset. Revenge wasn't a business transaction to them. It was family obligation. Bazeu was publicly standing by his friend, while Durk sat behind bars. And within days, Bazeu himself would be dead. Was his public defense what put the final target on his back? We can't know for sure, but the streets were definitely watching everything OTF related at that moment. Let's talk about October 25th, 2025. It was an ordinary Saturday afternoon, the kind of day where you run errands and don't think twice about your safety. Bazeu needed auto parts, so he went to a shop in the 3100 block of South St. Louis Avenue in Little Village. He wasn't alone. Two bodyguards accompanied him, a 39-year-old and a 42-year-old, both armed and alert. Or so they thought. At approximately 3 in the afternoon, two gunmen appeared and rushed toward them. Surveillance footage that would leak online within hours showed exactly what happened next. The shooters opened fire from just feet away, close enough that missing was almost impossible. Bullets tore through the air in broad daylight, while people nearby scattered for cover. All 3 men went down. The 42-year-old bodyguard took multiple gunshot wounds. The 39-year-old caught one in the ankle, but Bazeu absorbed the worst of it. His injuries were catastrophic. Paramedics rushed him to Mount Sinai Hospital, where doctors fought to save him. But early Sunday morning, Devonshaw Collier was pronounced dead. The Cook County Medical Examiner ruled it a homicide. His wife, Tiffany, confirmed the news on Instagram Sunday, and the Chicago drill community went into mourning. His puppy, which had been with him at the scene, also died from the gunfire. Even that small detail feels cruel. Nothing and no one around Bazeu was spared. Now here's where you need to pay close attention, because what happened next reveals how quickly retaliation moves in Chicago. Within 48 hours of Bazeu's murder, word on the streets pointed fingers at someone specific for allegedly setting him up. Her name was Ariana Bosne, known in the rap world as G.R.E. She was an aspiring drill artist herself, connected to the 757 crew through her baby daddy, 757 BA, who was locked up facing 6 murder charges. Now, 757 and THF have been enemies for years, part of that same tangled web of Southside beef. Bloggers and street sources started claiming that GRE had dropped Bazeu's location, telling people he was at that auto parts junkyard. Whether she did it intentionally or just mentioned it casually in conversation, the streets didn't care about nuance. On Monday, October 27th, just 2 days after Bazeu's murder, GRE was sitting in her car at a stoplight in Chicago when someone pulled up and shot her multiple times. She died right there. The message was clear and brutal. If you had anything to do with Bazeu's death, even tangentially, there will be consequences. Think about how fast that turnaround was. Bazeu died early Sunday morning. By Monday afternoon, someone believed to be connected to his murder was dead. That's less than 48 hours. No police investigation, no trial, no evidence presented in court. Just street justice delivered with the same violence that took Bazeu. And this is the cycle he had talked about wanting to break. This is what he knew was coming but couldn't escape. GRE's death wasn't confirmed by police as retaliation, but in Chicago's drill community, everyone understood what it meant. The scoreboard had been even in the most permanent way possible. Meanwhile, the official investigation into Bazeu's murder moved at the pace investigations always do. Chicago Police Department detectives arrived at the scene on South St. Louis Avenue that Saturday, collecting shell casings, interviewing witnesses, and reviewing that surveillance footage. By Monday, October 27th, they still had no suspects in custody. The 2 shooters had vanished into the city. Witnesses in neighborhoods like Little Village often stay silent, not out of disrespect for the victim, but out of fear for their own lives. Cooperating with police can get you labeled a snitch, which in that world is a death sentence. So investigators face the same wall. They always do in gang-related homicides. Plenty of people probably knew who pulled those triggers, but getting anyone to officially tell police was another matter entirely. The drill rap community, however, was vocal in their grief. Duty Low, a fellow OTF artist and one of Bazeu's closest friends, posted an emotional tribute that gave us a window into their bond. "My best friend, my brother, my dog, taught me a lot. This one hurt," he wrote. "Everybody knows our relationship. I got your kids for life. When I got shot, you jumped on the road, no questions." That last line is significant. When Duty Low was shot in a previous incident, Bazeu immediately mobilized to handle it. That's the loyalty code these men live by. Your brother gets hurt, you respond instantly. No hesitation. Duty Low promising to take care of Bazeu's children wasn't just sentiment. It was a sacred vow in their world. 21 Savage, one of Atlanta's biggest rappers, also paid tribute by sharing a screenshot of his text conversations with Bazeu. Sit on the phone every other night, he captioned it with heartbreak emojis. This showed that Bazeu's reach extended beyond Chicago. He had genuine relationships with major artists across the country. Nikki, the mother of Lil Durk's first 2 children, posted her own tribute that revealed just how long Bazeu had been part of that inner circle. "Love you, WAP. For life, brother. You've been there since before all this," she wrote, using Bazeu's street nickname. That phrase, "before all this," speaks volumes. She meant before the fame, before the money, before OTF became a recognized brand. Bazeu was there when it was just survival and loyalty. Those bonds run deeper than anything success can create, and losing him hit everyone who knew him from those early days. But step back and look at the bigger picture with me for a second. Bazeu is at least a fourth close associate of Lil Durk to be murdered in the last 10 years. In 2015, Durk's former manager Uchenna Jaina, known as Chino, was shot and killed outside a restaurant in the Avalon Park community. King Von died in 2020. Now, Bazeu in 2025. That's not even counting others in the wider OTF circle. How do you keep going when death follows your crew like a shadow? Durk himself sits in federal custody right now, facing life in prison and convicted on those murder-for-hire charges. The government even revealed that his supporters threatened the judge and prosecutor involved in his case earlier in October. The violence just keeps spiraling outward, touching everyone connected to this world. Bazeu left behind a wife and children who now have to navigate life without him. His estimated net worth of $500,000 from streaming collaborations and performances means they have some financial cushion, but money doesn't replace a father or husband. Tiffany had already buried her 14-year-old son, Raheem, years earlier. Now she's burying her husband at 35. Can you even imagine carrying that weight? Some families experience one tragic loss in a lifetime. She's experienced multiple, all tied to the same endless war. As of right now, no arrests have been made in Bazeu's murder. The investigation remains open. If you have any information about the shooting on October 25th, 2025, in the 3100 block of South St. Louis Avenue, Chicago police are asking you to come forward. Anonymous tips can make the difference between justice and another cold case file gathering dust. So, what do we take from all this? Bazeu's story isn't just about one man's death. It's about a system that traps people from birth. He was born on the wrong block in the wrong city at the wrong time, and despite intelligence, despite musical talent, despite recognizing the destruction around him, he couldn't break free. He could have a philosophical conversation with his enemy Melly about the futility of their war, yet still carry guns and move with bodyguards because the war didn't stop just because he understood it. That's the tragedy. Awareness didn't equal escape. This case forces us to ask uncomfortable questions. What does it say about our society that young men like Bazeu can see the cycle clearly, even speak against it, but still get consumed by it? When revenge becomes a moral obligation in your community, how do you choose peace without betraying everyone who died before you? And here's the one that keeps me up at night. If Bazeu, who made out financially and had everything to lose, couldn't walk away, what hope do the 15-year-olds coming up behind him have? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this conversation matters. Share this video with someone who needs to understand what's really happening in Chicago beyond the headlines. If you haven't subscribed to Crime Lab Report yet, do it now because we're not stopping until every story gets told. Hit that bell so you never miss when we drop the next case. And check out our other videos diving into the OTF situation and Chicago's drill scene, because understanding one piece means nothing without seeing the whole picture. This is an entertainment. These are real lives, real families, real pain. The least we can do is witness it and demand better. I'll see you in the next one.